What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of HTC Today. I have a full episode scheduled for you guys. I will be talking about the HTC Droid DNA because there's been a lot of questions about the battery. So there was an endurance test done. I'll tell you the results of that. What else? Everybody wants to know what the real difference is between the HTC One X and the HTC One X Plus. I mean, because you are getting Jelly Bean in the One X Plus right out of the box. The HTC One X right now in most parts of the world still has ice cream sandwich, and I'm sorry to say there's a lot of impatient people, including myself, who's wondering when Jelly Bean will be getting to the One X. But that is not the issue today. The issue is, what's the difference between HTC Sense4.1 and HTC Sense 4 Plus? I'll tell you all about that today. So, like I was saying, the first thing that I want to talk about is the endurance test. Everybody wants to know why HTC went with a 2020 mAh battery. I think that I was the only one, because I searched so many of these sites out there, you know, all their reviews about the new HTC Droid DNA by HTC and Verizon, and how it only has a 2020 mAh battery with a 5-inch display. Meanwhile, you have the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 that has a 3100 mAh battery with their 5.5-inch display. Well, I'll tell you right now, it needs that 3100 mAh battery for that 5.5-inch display because it is much bigger, number one. Number two, that battery is a lot heavier, and it is an older display. This new HTC Droid DNA has a brand new display. It is the Super LCD 3 display. I was saying from the beginning when I found out that it was going into this phone that it uses less power. It is 50% brighter than the Galaxy S3, and it uses less power. Everybody has to understand that technology is going in the direction where things are getting better with less power. Why else did they use the 2020 mAh battery? I'll tell you right now. It's the processor. The new Snapdragon S4 Pro processor. It's amazing. It is a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core processor that uses less battery power than the Snapdragon S4 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor. Yes, it's a quad-core processor that uses less power than a dual-core processor. That is a big deal, guys. Now, you're using a 5-inch display that uses a lot less power and is brighter, and you're using a processor that is faster and uses less battery. Guys, that's exactly what everybody wants. I mean, you have all these iPhone fans out there. So many iPhone fans. They all have these iPhones, and they brag about their iPhones. Do you hear them complaining about their battery life? No. Of course not. And those batteries are not even at 1500 mAh. Can you believe that? In the iPhone 5, there is less than 1500 mAh battery in that phone. You're getting 2020 mAh with the HTC Droid DNA. That is a big step from what you see in an iPhone 5. The endurance rating was 49 hours. This test was done by GSM Arena. It is a great test. They did a talk time test. It lasted 11 hours and 7 minutes. Straight talking, 11 hours and 7 minutes. Web browsing was 6 hours and 40 minutes. Of straight web browsing for 6 hours and 40 minutes. And now, what's funny to me, you would figure that video playback would have less. No, well, because you're refreshing and reloading page after page after page when you're web browsing, it actually uses more power than when you're doing video playback, which got it 7 hours and 30 minutes. That is great battery inside a great smartphone. I don't want to hear any more complaints about the battery size. I know I'm going to get blasted in the comments below this video. That's terrific, guys. Go ahead. I am more than willing to have the discussion with you. This is a good battery. Another thing that iPhone users with their 8 gigs of memory and their 16 gigs of memory have not been complaining about, and all I hear complaints about is the memory size in this phone. How it's only 11 or 10 whatever gigs available usage. Start getting used to using cloud. If you want bigger, go for the HTC One X Plus. That is a crazy phone. Stop thinking because that this phone came out that the HTC One X or the One X Plus is not a good phone, because they're terrific. I'll get to talking about those in a second. This battery works. It works great. You should really give it a chance. And for all those people out there that say, oh, for the amount that I use my smartphone, the battery just doesn't last. Well, I have something to say to you people. There isn't a smartphone in the world that has been created that will meet up to your expectations. You need to get yourself a time machine, jump in the sucker, go ahead in time about 20 years, and maybe you'll find a smartphone with a battery that has the capability to last the length of time that you're looking for. Because that smartphone does not exist. I will be the first one to admit the iPhone 5, that battery does last a long time. But that's only because it has a 4-inch display, a very small processor, and it just doesn't do that much compared to, let's say, the HTC One X, One X Plus, HTC Droid DNA. I mean, the fact that you can have live widgets, news scrolling, your Facebook constantly updating, Twitter updating, all on your screen instead of having to press an app. You can just, scroll through your screens, and it's like a personal newspaper, basically, compared to an iPhone, which is basic apps. But that's my own opinion. So what I'm saying here is the HTC Droid DNA does work great. The battery is terrific. It is a winner. No one should have a problem with this smartphone unless you need so much memory space it's ridiculous. Then go for the HTC One X Plus with its 64 gigs of memory. That's all I got to say about that. Now I'm going to move on. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about the HTC One X that comes with Ice Cream Sandwich and HTC Sense 4.1. And I want to talk about the HTC One X Plus, which comes with Jelly Bean and HTC Sense 4 Plus. What's the difference between the two Sense programs? Actually, there is a huge difference. It may not, when you're playing with it, it may not seem like much to you, but there is a very big difference. Besides the fact that Jelly Bean is changed from Ice Cream Sandwich, I'll talk about that as well. But what you expect in Sense 4 Plus that comes with the Jelly Bean, the first big deal to me is the keyboard. I love on my Samsung phones the fact that it has that Android keyboard. I like that keyboard. It's basic, it's easy to use, and it's quick. It doesn't take up much of my display, and HTC learned its lesson with this. The HTC keyboard is just so big, and there's just so many things going on it. It just clutters up the screen. It never looked smooth to me. It never looked, nice. Now, with the new HTC Sense 4 Plus, you have that Android keyboard. That is such a win. It's amazing. That alone to me makes it better. Because, think about how often you use that keyboard. I use mine all the time. Well, I do use the voice to text a lot. And I use voice when I do navigation. But when I'm doing searches, I don't know why. I like to use the keyboard. That's just me. But that is a huge deal to me, and I love it. So what else do we have to look at? Oh, right, okay. You know how in like say the HTC One X or the One X Plus, the One X, the bars. What bars? I have it right here in the picture. You know, you see where it has like your phone, your email, your message box, the quick links right at the bottom of your main screen. You see on the HTC One X on how there's like, I don't know, it looks almost like a rubbery grid in the background. HTC One X Plus with Sense4 Plus, it's smooth. I'll tell you why that's a big deal. Besides the fact that it looks nice and crisp and, you know, HD and bold, it's less complicated in the operating system. There's less lines of code, which means it'll run faster because there's less complication. It's not just there. I mean, it's even in like the web browsing behind where you have your search bar. That's smooth too. It's all over the place. I mean, when you look for it, you'll notice it everywhere. It's not even that. Like, the background is smoother. It's less busy. It's just so much. That goes in line with, you know, looking to make it run smooth. No hiccups. No pauses. Very responsive. And that's what you're looking for in a smartphone. And that's what you get with the new HTC Sense Plus. Just because of those little simple things. You guys don't realize it. I mean, when you get these updates and you're like, oh, there's nothing different. There's a lot of difference just from that. So you also have to remember that. Remember, the HTC One X is definitely going to be getting Jelly Bean and Sense4 Plus. But, you know, the fact that the HTC One X Plus has the, you know, 2100 battery makes it definitely more appealing. And how it comes right out of the box with the operating system, you know that later down the road, when Keyline Pi comes out, the One X Plus will probably get it first, and then the One X. That's just the way it works, guys. I'm sorry. You know, as new phones come out, they take the priority over the older phones. I mean, you see what's going on with, like, the Thunderbolt and looking for ice cream sandwich on that, or, like, the Incredible 2, and everybody looking for ice cream sandwich on that. Just happen to be two Verizon phones. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Sense. Alright. What else is different? Now, this new feature in the texting, I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to love this. It's not really for me. I mean, I don't care because I don't hide anything in my phone. If anybody picks up my phone, I love to show off all the things that it does. I don't hide anything. But for people that want to hide, like, certain texts, certain groups of text from a certain person or whatever, you can actually lock it in like a virtual locked filing cabinet that's password protected. That's pretty cool, guys. You can't see, you don't get that in iPhones. These are features that I love to brag about. And I'm loving the fact that I'm getting to brag about it in HTC smartphones. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the differences in Sense 4.1 and Sense 4 Plus. Not just about the texting, I mean, that's great. But there were certain things that I just didn't like in Sense 4.1. Yeah, it's terrific, the burst mode and the camera and how you can take pictures while you're videoing and during playback. I love that. It was just like little issues that I had. The functionality. Like, you always needed two hands to operate it. Now, believe it or not, you can do a lot more with one-handed use because of how they reposition things. And I'll tell you how. Well, like, let's say, for instance, in Samsung, how you were able to switch from the rear-facing camera to the front-facing camera right without having to navigate for it. It was right there on the screen. In Sense 4.1, you actually had to go into the settings to change it into front-facing, and then it was tedious. Now you can just do it with one click. It's so much easier. Everything you can do with your right hand now, including, which was a really big deal for me, was the zoom. Yeah, great, pinch the zoom, but that again goes into, you know, two-handed use. When I used the camera before, It was always one hand. And now the zoom is, you know how where the camera and the video button is with Sense phones? Well, now it's right next to it. So you can zoom right there. Yeah, digital zoom isn't that great, and maybe you don't want to do it, you can walk up closer, but the fact that you can just do it right there, it's so much nicer. It's just those little things, the functionality. And speaking of pictures, you know in your contacts, yeah, great, when you get text and stuff like that, that picture right there, it looks pretty good, but it's so tiny, you know what I mean? But when you go into your actual contacts and there are pictures right across the top, and their information's on the bottom, why is that picture so fuzzy and grainy? What's the point if it's going to look like that? Well, now in Sense 4 Plus, it looks almost HD. It's crystal clear. And now you can just tap it and change the picture. It's so much easier to change. Like, again, what I said, the functionality. You'll notice everything. You'll start to notice and you'll be like, oh, wow, that was so much easier. Oh, wow, it's missing this menu. And it's just, all the options are so much more visible and right there and just easier to use. And HTC is, again, moving along the lines like when they made Sense 3.5 and then 4.0, how it got less and less complicated, easier to use, smoother, and more popular. I can't believe how popular Sense was. Just a couple of years ago, everybody hated Sense. They thought it was the worst. Now it's one of the best OSs to tag on to Android. HTC is making a winner with this. So, I mean, the fact that you have that in your contacts is great. What else? The front-facing camera. I love the fact that you're able to see, like when I was talking about the Droid DNA, I didn't say anything about the front-facing camera being so HD in the wide angle. I'm not talking about that with these two phones or anything, but what I want to talk about with the front-facing camera is you could see yourself, right, on that screen when you're using the front-facing camera. Like, I mean, you can get ready and hit the click button. I mean, you can even do it one-handed, right? What's up with the timer in Sense 4 Plus for front-facing camera? I've actually heard people raving about this. Are you that much of a bonehead not to notice that you're in that display and you can hook yourself, you can get yourself ready? You know what I mean? You're not putting it down and taking the picture, are you? I guess, I mean, if you want to, like, prop it up somewhere, hit it, and then get back and get into pose, I guess that could be a way for the timer to be used, but you know there's a timer for the rear camera which gives you a better picture, right? It's little features like that that ruin it for me. You know, they're doing so great with the functionality and everything, moving from Sense 4.1 to 4 Plus, and then they throw in this little bit of stupidity that, you know, clutters things up. Without it, wouldn't it have run even smoother? Just a thought. You know, I'm just, you know, shot in the dark. Okay, there's, talking more about pictures now. There is a new, like, map where, you know how when you tag a picture, you can put where the location, where you took that picture? Say you're on vacation in Bermuda, or you're on the Great Wall of China, and you're taking shots, and you want to group them in, you know, where you took them. Well, now you can just open, when you tag them and you know, with the location, you can open up a map, and it'll show you, you know, your, like, vacation spots. It'll have a camera on, like, Paris, or the Great Wall, like I said, Egypt. Anyone. Anywhere you go. You're visiting Sydney, there'll be a camera there. It's pretty cool. I actually liked it. I thought it was actually a very cool feature. It's stuff like that that will be used. Not like a timer on the camera, front face. Whatever. I digress. I move on. Now let's talk about web browsing. Because every time ever since Ice Cream Sandwich, I like Chrome. It's awesome. I use Chrome in my laptop. I use Chrome on my computer. It's fast, it's smooth, and it runs great. Plus, it's Android. I mean, it's Google. Google made Chrome. Google made Android. Why wouldn't it work great? HTC makes their own browser in there, but I don't ever use it because I just love Chrome so much. Now you can make it the default browser and have it right in the quick link. I love that. There's also a couple of new things about Chrome. You know, your open tabs for your web browsing, when you can open multiple tabs. Now it'll actually have a number there to tell you how many tabs you have open. Of course, you can only open 6. If you were looking to open more than 6 windows on a phone, get a laptop. You're looking for your phone to do way too many things. Just saying. So, in the end, I mean, I'm just like brushing the surface, kind of, with like the new things. You'll probably notice other things that I didn't even notice, and you'll tell me on the bottom. Please, actually, if you notice things that I didn't notice, put it down on the bottom so other people can see it, and they can also see other things that are available on the new Sense programming, which is awesome. Of course, you're getting Jelly Bean, which is ice cream sandwich is great, guys. I love it. I think it's so awesome. Jelly Bean is better. I love how ice cream sandwich, the voice recognition software is amazing. I thought it was definitely state of the art, and then I used it on Jelly Bean, and I was like, I can't believe on how much better it is than ice cream. It's just more accurate, responsive. It's quicker. I couldn't believe that it was able to do all of it. It's just so much nicer. All those Apple fans that use their Siri. Actually, I don't know one Apple iPhone user that uses Siri, like you see in commercials and stuff like that. It's more of a novelty, like I've always said. But this is not a novelty, guys. I use this every single day. And it's so handy and it works terrific. But one of the other new features is not just, how well it works with responsive and how correct it is with how you speak. It's also, again, with functionality. What I hated about it in Ice Cream Sandwich is I would have to turn off the microphone. Now, if I just pause long enough, it turns off by itself. We're seeing the best improvements ever on these smartphones. And not only with their builds. Yeah, the HTC One X is one of the most superior builds I've ever seen in a smartphone. And then we get even a little bit better with the One X Plus. And then you get like a leap to the moon with the Droid DNA and their display. I say with their display. Only because the One X Plus has the 64 gigs of internal memory and the quad-core 1.7 gigahertz Tegra 3 processor that gives you Tegra 3 gaming. You won't get that on the Droid DNA. You get that on the One X Plus. And you only get that on the One X International version because they have the Tegra processor. Tegra gaming is awesome, and the One X Plus wins huge with the memory and the Tegra 3 gaming. It's a fact. Well, that was another episode of HTC Today, episode 3. Please, guys, let me know what you want to know about your HTC phones and future episodes. I plan on putting these out as much as possible. If I can get enough information to put out one every other day, I will. Give me some information on what you guys want to see, and I will put it out there. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching this special Thanksgiving episode of HTC Today. Have a terrific day. And for everybody else around the world, I hope your weekend is awesome. Have a great one, guys. Thanks.